Welcome, Aries. Whether you are a long-time listener or a curious newcomer stumbling upon my channel, Zodiac Talks Tarot. Let me say this straight away, today's reading is not ordinary. It holds the weight of change, the shimmer of new beginnings, and that faint but undeniable whisper of destiny tapping at your shoulder. And if you are Aries, you already know that life rarely allows you the comfort of standing still for long. You are the first spark in the zodiac, the pioneer who turns routine into adventure and boredom into a challenge. Sometimes that means you leap before you look, and sometimes it means you pause just long enough to wonder if you should have packed a map. But either way, movement is your nature. As I spread these cards before me, I am reminded of something deeper than prediction. Tarot, when studied beyond the surface, is not a parlor trick. It is a mirror reflecting our inner psyche, a conversation between the self and the universe. Each card is a fragment of your personal mythology, revealing where you have been, where you are standing, and what door is quietly waiting to open. Years of research into astrology and psychology and more than a little wisdom borrowed from the quiet corridors of Buddhist thought have taught me that the stories we see here are never accidents. They arrive at the moment we are most prepared to listen. So, Aries, laugh with me when I say this reading might feel like a fire drill for your soul, unexpected, loud, and impossible to ignore. But that is exactly how transformation arrives. Today the message is simple: pay attention, because the universe has just cleared its throat, and the next chapter of your story is about to begin. Aries, let's talk about the energy you are walking into this September, because it isn't the kind of gentle breeze that lets you sit back and sip tea. No, it feels more like standing at the edge of a hallway between two great rooms, one door clicking shut behind you, the other not yet open, and you stuck in the echoing space in between. Tarot gives us two powerful archetypes here, the Fool and the Hanged Man. On one side, the Fool grins wide, traveling light, ready to leap without a plan. He's that friend who decides on a Tuesday night that a road trip across the desert is a great idea, without water, snacks, or even a map. On the other side, the Hanged Man hangs suspended, thoughtful, the philosopher who says, "Wait, let me analyze this from 12 different angles before I even move my left foot." These two cards together capture your current reality, one part of you itching to sprint forward, the other insisting on caution. It's as if the universe is holding a cosmic stop-and-go sign at the same time. For some Aries, this literally means movement. You may be relocating to a new home, a new city, perhaps even a new country. For others, the move is internal, unfinished projects tugging at your sleeve, an old chapter gasping its last breath, while a new story quietly waits for your courage to open it. The trick is, hallways are not designed for comfort. They're narrow, they echo, and they make you feel like you should rush. But wisdom, both astrological and psychological, says otherwise. Don't sprint through. A hallway is where you pause, breathe, and ready yourself before entering the banquet hall. If you hurry, you miss the transition. And Aries, your life right now is all about this transition. Now, let's turn to something closer to home, literally. The cards whisper about sanctuary. And by sanctuary, I don't just mean four walls and a roof. I mean the atmosphere that shapes your spirit. Aries, let's be honest, your fiery nature often leaves a trail behind you. That "I'll get to it later" pile in the corner? That mysterious bedroom chair that somehow transformed into Mount Everest made entirely of laundry? Yes, I see you nodding. But here's the deeper truth: your environment is not neutral. Psychology teaches us that external clutter mirrors internal clutter. When your home is in disarray, your energy scatters. When your space reflects harmony, your mind steadies. This September, every small act of order is an act of soul care. Wiping down a counter, opening the windows for fresh air, lighting a candle, even putting on music you once loved but forgot about. These tiny rituals ripple outward. They create clarity, not just in your room, but in your decisions, your relationships, your entire aura. Think of it as recharging your internal battery by tuning the environment around you. And here, let me weave in a teaching from Buddhism: leave every space better than when you entered it. This isn't just about sweeping the floor. It's about people too. If you walk into a store, leave the cashier with a smile instead of indifference. If you hold a conversation, leave the person lighter than before. If you step into a room, leave it cleaner, brighter, calmer. These micro gestures may sound small, but they build what I call karmic wealth. And karmic wealth, Aries, is something you will need in abundance as you march toward the year of triumph 2025. Because make no mistake, this is your year not just to fight battles, but to lead. And yes, let's insert a little humor here, because Aries energy without laughter is like a fire without oxygen. Think of it this way: if your life right now feels like one giant hallway, don't just stand there tapping your foot impatiently. Decorate the hallway. Put up a plant, maybe even finally fold that laundry pile, and light a candle while you wait. Transformation does not have to be grim. It can be playful, creative, even a little messy. But it does require your attention. So, Aries, the message is clear: you are between worlds, standing on the bridge between what was and what will be. Don't rush, don't resist. Use this space to create harmony in your surroundings, generosity in your encounters, and clarity in your mind. Because when the next door swings open, and it will, you'll be ready to stride into it, not just as a warrior, but as a leader who knows that even small acts of order, humor, and kindness are the true foundations of triumph. Aries, let's sit down and have a serious conversation about belief systems, because this month the cards are not just nudging you, they're practically waving a neon sign in your direction that says, rethink what you've been carrying. Hovering in your spread are the Hierophant and the High Priestess, two archetypes that embody tradition, wisdom, faith, and intuition. Together, they create a kind of spiritual crossroads, one path lined with the comfort of inherited truths, the other with the silent invitation of inner knowing. But here's the twist: not all the beliefs you've collected over time still serve you. Some of them are like clothes you've outgrown but insist on wearing anyway, even though they pinch and pull and make it impossible to breathe. Take, for instance, that famous old saying, "Love conquers all." It's romantic, yes. It looks wonderful stitched on a pillow or printed on a wedding invitation. But when you actually live it, you find that love, without respect, without trust, without aligned values, is a castle built on sand. Or consider the slogan, "I'm not responsible for anyone's feelings." It sounds like the ultimate anthem of independence, something you'd expect to hear in a self-help seminar. But life and psychology remind us that empathy is real. Words can bruise, silence can sting, and pretending we're untouchable doesn't make us free, it just makes us disconnected. This is where the Ace of Swords cuts in. Picture it like a blade slicing through the fog, separating what is true from what is convenient. The sword doesn't care about nostalgia, about slogans we've outgrown, or about the ego's need for comfort. It wants clarity. And Aries, that clarity is your initiation into what I like to call adulthood of the soul. You are being invited to grow beyond illusions, to leave behind the shiny but hollow phrases, and to step into beliefs that actually serve your growth. And remember, chosen ones like you don't get the luxury of clinging to illusions for too long. The universe calls you to rise faster, sharper, clearer. Now, of course, we can't ignore what everyone really leans in for: love. And here the story gets interesting. Because while you're busy rethinking your philosophy of life, the universe is sending not one, but two suitors into your orbit. First, we meet the Knight of Cups. He's poetic, eager, and just dramatic enough to keep things lively. He's the type who writes you late-night messages filled with metaphors about the moon, but also the one who might forget to call back after making those grand promises. Charming, but inconsistent. Then comes the King of Pentacles. Solid, grounded, dependable. He doesn't just talk about bringing you flowers, he actually shows up with them, and remembers your favorite kind. He pays attention. He builds. He's not the one bragging about himself in the spotlight. In fact, at first glance, he might even seem understated compared to the Knight's theatrical energy. But look closer, and you'll recognize something greater. This king carries Emperor energy, quiet authority, unwavering strength, the kind of presence that makes you feel safe, seen, and supported. Here's where it gets thrilling, when we see the Emperor paired with the Empress, when the lovers align with the Ten of Pentacles not once but twice, we're not talking about a fleeting romance. We're looking at long-term commitment, shared goals, family, and legacy. This isn't just love, it's partnership, a story worth writing into the novels of your life. But, and this is a big but, there's a danger here. You might miss it. Why? Because your attention is scattered. Because the past still has its claws in you, whispering old songs of betrayal or nostalgia. Because sometimes flashy gestures from the Knight drown out the quiet devotion of the King. So here's the lesson, Aries, don't confuse noise with value. In a culture obsessed with spectacle, it takes maturity to see the worth of consistency. Psychology tells us that long-term satisfaction comes not from grand gestures but from reliable patterns of care. And spirituality tells us that true love mirrors the divine, steady, humble, enduring. Yes, it's tempting to get swept away by the poetry, the drama, the dizzying chase. But remember this: when you're tired, when life weighs heavy, when the hallway of transition feels endless, it's not the Knight's poems that keep you warm. It's the King's quiet hand holding yours, the Emperor's strength matching your fire with his calm. So as you step into September, refine your beliefs and sharpen your discernment. Let the Ace of Swords clear the fog. Recognize the difference between illusion and truth, between noise and value, between fleeting passion and lasting partnership. Because love is here for you, Aries, and if you choose wisely, it's not just love, it's the foundation of a legacy. Aries, let's talk about the ghosts you carry with you, because this reading makes it clear that the past has not entirely loosened its grip. The Seven of Swords and Judgment echo like old songs you can't stop humming, the soundtrack of betrayals replayed in your mind. Some of you still lie awake wondering how someone could have walked away, or why trust was broken when you gave it so freely. And that makes sense. Aries burns with such intensity that when you're wounded, it doesn't just sting for a moment, it leaves a scar deep enough to remind you of your own fire. But here's the gentle wisdom I want to share, wisdom rooted in both psychology and Buddhism: suffering is inevitable, but clinging is optional. We can't erase the pain of the past, but we can decide not to board that rusty train again and again. Imagine yourself at a station. On one side, a tired old train labeled "Past" screeches in. The seats are worn, the air stale, the windows fogged with regret. On the other side, a gleaming train labeled "Future" hums with anticipation, its doors wide open, its seats plush, the engine ready to roar. You don't need me to tell you which train is worth boarding. But I will remind you, the year of triumph 2025 is offering you a ticket to that second train. It could carry you toward the kind of relationship that feels not only like love but like destiny, if only you're willing to step on board. And love isn't the only story here. Behind the scenes, your career and finances hum like a silent engine, shaping the rhythm of your life even when romance takes center stage. The King of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles remind us that wealth and stability aren't just about passion or luck, they're about structure, patience, and long-term vision. This September, opportunities may surface that promise quick glory. But here's where the Chariot appears again, pulling your attention toward choice. Psychology teaches us that humans often trip over the same stone, short-term gratification. That dopamine hit of now blinds us to the deeper satisfaction of later. Aries, you of all signs understand the thrill of sprinting, but not every race is worth running. Some roads require a marathoner's patience. The King of Pentacles energy steady, practical, humble is what builds empires. And let's face it, you've never been content with a cottage when you could rule a kingdom. Still, before this starts to sound like a lecture, let's sprinkle in some Aries humor, because you need it as much as you need oxygen. You know you're an Aries if at 2 in the morning you've decided to reinvent your life, pulled up real estate listings in a city you can't even spell, and then promptly fallen asleep with Netflix whispering, "Are you still watching?" Or if your version of cleaning the house involves blasting music, launching 7 half-finished projects, and then pausing mid-vacuum to text your best friend about your grand plan to become CEO of 3 companies by next Thursday. Don't worry, the cards aren't judging. In fact, they find your chaos oddly endearing. Here's the truth, Aries, your energy is fire. Fire can be wild, consuming, unpredictable. But when focused, it illuminates the path for everyone else. This month is about choosing what to burn and what to fuel. Burn the bitterness, the nostalgia, the hollow promises of the past. Fuel the patient work of building your empire, nurturing your future, and stepping into love that matches your strength with steadiness. You are not meant to haunt old corridors. You are meant to stride forward into the banquet hall of your own destiny. Aries, let's bring this reading full circle with a dose of clarity, wisdom, and maybe a little humor to keep you grounded. What we've seen in your spread this month is nothing short of a roadmap, but one written in the language of both psychology and spirit. First, you are standing between worlds. This is the hallway of transition, the place where one chapter closes and another waits to begin. Hallways, as we know, aren't designed for lounging. They echo, they make you impatient, they tempt you to sprint. But don't rush. The hallway is where you gather strength before the next door opens. Second, your home is not just drywall and furniture, it is an extension of your inner world. A cluttered desk often reflects a cluttered mind. A peaceful space cultivates a peaceful heart. And yes, that mysterious chair that somehow becomes a mountain of laundry? Consider it a spiritual metaphor. Clearing it off might just clear a little fog in your head too. Third, let go of the beliefs that no longer serve you. Truth, like the Ace of Swords, is sharp and uncompromising. Nostalgia is sweet, but it can be sticky. Aries, you're being called to maturity of the soul, to trade the slogans of yesterday for the clarity of wisdom today. In love, don't mistake flash for substance. The Knight of Cups may serenade you with grand promises, but the King of Pentacles, the steady, humble, unassuming presence, may just be your true emperor. Sometimes real love doesn't arrive with fireworks, it shows up with groceries and remembers how you take your coffee. That, my friends, is soulmate material. Fifth, the past. It lingers, yes, but don't cling to it. Picture 2 trains pulling into the station, one old and rattling, labeled past, and the other gleaming and strong, labeled future. Which one will you board? The cards insist, the year of triumph 2025 awaits you on that newer train. And finally, career and money. Here's where psychology and astrology agree: resist the temptation of quick fixes. The Chariot shows up to remind you that forward motion requires focus. The King of Pentacles energy whispers that slow, steady growth builds empires, not overnight schemes. And Aries, admit it, you've always dreamed of building an empire anyway. The Oracle cards confirm, the end of a tough cycle approaches. That's not just comfort, that's a directive. Your heartbreaks, your restless nights, your struggles, they were not wasted. They built resilience. But the page has turned, and now endings become beginnings. So as we wrap up, remember this: you are one of the chosen ones, called to blaze trails and light the way for others. The Emperor and Empress stand in your reading, the Lovers bless your choices, the Ten of Pentacles promises security, and the Star restores hope. What more validation could you ask for? Don't overlook the humble offer. Don't rush the hallway. And don't forget to laugh at yourself when you inevitably start 3 projects at once before breakfast. Aries, this is your time, so go out, live it fully, and savor the joy of becoming who you were meant to be. If this message resonated with you, remember to like this video, share it with a fellow Aries, and subscribe to my channel, Zodiac Talks Tarot, so we can continue this journey together. After all, life is better when we walk it side by side, and the stars always shine brighter when we look up together.